Hey, it's Benji Cole, son of Al Cole from CBS Radio and host of People of Distinction, the talk that gives an in-depth view of some of the most dynamic, intelligent, and successful people on the planet. Run to our website, peopleofdistinction.org for more info, or you can always email me directly at benji@alcoleenterprises.com. And we are very excited to showcase this next guest here on our network, so sit back, strap in, and get ready for a wonderful ride. And on the line with us today, we have Pamela Elaine Lockridge. We're going to be discussing her wonderful book, Abused from 4 to 18, A Survivor's Fast Track to Mental Wholeness. Now, right there in the title, guys, you know we're embarking upon some heavy material today. Okay, the book is available for purchase through Amazon as well as Barnes & Noble. And before we go into any further detail, I just want to say, Pamela was brought to our network, People of Distinction, today by some of the best movers in the business. Sweetspire Literature Management. So if you have a book that you'd like moved, listen, people, give yourself the best gift you could possibly give and contact Sweetspire. And you can find out more information on their fantastic company at sweetspireliterature.com. And listen, it is an absolute pleasure to have Pamela here on the line. Subject matter aside, again, it's a difficult subject matter to go over. Abuse is something, unfortunately so, that is very common in our society, whether it's abuse from a child's perspective, an adult, verbal, physical. I mean, there's a lot that happens. Now, what I am really looking forward to and why I am so excited to have Pamela here on the line is just because we know these things are happening doesn't mean we shouldn't be talking about them, right? I think on the opposite end, we should be talking about these more often. A, when we discuss it. B, it's going to make your journey easier. B, you're going to find that it resonates with a lot of people around you. Whether or not they can relate to the specific abuse that you're going through or you're articulating, guys, there's a community out there because a lot of people, again, unfortunately so, have been abused in their lifetime. We're going to be talking about one particular example or one particular person's experience, that being Pamela. Within the book, not only was the book derived from her personal experience that way, but she coined the phrase, and I absolutely love it because it's something that I had never thought of. But the book, in her mind, is categorized as a therapeutic autobiography. I love it. It just says so much right there. Because this book is therapeutic. There actually is therapy expressed within the book that she's created, that she's going to be able to articulate to you all today. And when you pick up the book, you're going to be able to have a step-by-step guide to approaching that. And listen, at the end of the day, you may not be able to resonate with everything that she discusses. You may not be able to have experienced similar things, but I promise you, you're going to be able to take the messages received in this book and implement it into your day-to-day lives and become a better individual because of it. And Pamela is the expert. She's written the book and she's going to be able to articulate everything much better than I ever could. So without further ado, let's get it started. Pamela, first and foremost, welcome to People of Distinction, and thank you so much for being a guest. How are you?
Thank you, Benji, and I want to thank you for having me on because I know that you're in demand, and for you to decide to have me is a privilege to me.
Well, Pamela, I appreciate your words. Thank you very much. It means a lot, and I truly mean this when I say this. This is an honor for everybody involved, myself included, and the messages in your book I thought were so profound. I mean, listen, it wasn't even a choice. When Sweetspire approached us about this, I was like, absolutely, we need to have her on the network because the message is that profound. And I'm very much looking forward to this. And Pamela, I know your book is an autobiography, so we're going to be touching up on your background anyway. But let's jump right in, okay? Let's not wait any longer. Abused from 4 to 18. Tell us a little bit more about your book in more detail, please.
Okay. My mother married a man, it was her second marriage, who was a pedophile. And I was abused by him sexually, physically, verbally, emotionally, and from the age of 4 to 18. Around the age of 15, my mother divorced him. So I thought, oh my goodness, I'm going to be able to get away from my captor, from my predator. But what happened was she made me go live with him because I had 2 other sisters, and she got a small apartment and decided there wasn't enough room for me. Oh my goodness. So that's why I was 18 till 18. He kept me there till I was 18. When I turned 18, he knew he could no longer keep me there. So that's why I wrote the book. When I got older and my repressed memories, what happens is there's statistics that say adults don't usually come out with this or start to be hurt till in their 50s. The reason is they can suppress it, in their 20s. Yeah. A lot of times they turn to drugs, different things to medicate, okay, and to escape. In their 30s and 40s, you start getting busy with your careers, your children, and you can stay busy so you don't have to deal with it. But in your 50s, when your children leave the nest, then you start to contemplate your life. What was productive in your life, what wasn't productive. And then those memories start coming up, and you have to deal with them. You can't not, because they start running around your head like a tape. You get up in the morning and it's there. So because I didn't know that, and I didn't seek therapy, I ended up in the hospital, the mental health hospital, and got diagnosed with PTSD and was put on medications. I've been on medications for like 20-something years now. And so in order for me to find out about my abuse, I went back to school because I thought social work would help me understand myself and what I needed to get help. So I went back and I earned a master's in social work. And then also, the education also kept me grounded as I was trying to heal, okay? And so while I was in social work, I came upon a theory that Elizabeth Kubler-Ross made famous, which is the stages of death and dying. And I started correlating stages of death and dying to the loss of my sexual and childhood innocence. And so I took myself on a journey and started looking at myself as a child and as an adult, and looked at denial. Child and adult, looked at anger, okay? And all the different stages that she had, like anger, bargaining, depression, and acceptance, okay? And I started realizing that this was helping me. And then as I continued on, I realized there needed to be some more stages added. So I added striving, which was my educational, thriving, which how I was coming along so good in going to therapy, and then closure, which was awesome. It came at one point when I no longer had that tape running, and I no longer even thought about those people. It was like a wall went up, and they didn't exist for me anymore. Okay? And then wholeness is when I started finding my identity. Okay? We lose our identity when through sexual abuse. We don't know who we are. And at some point, we start realizing in the healing who we really are. And we start living a quality of life that is phenomenal. Okay? And then the last chapter of my book is called Continued Journey After Healing. And that is what I do day to day now, in my healing. And I have purpose and meaning. And, I go back and help. I'm a very strong advocate for survivors of child sexual abuse or child abuse. And so I advocate for that population and help bring them along through my healing path to show them that they can get there. And my hope, and what I'm hoping to do, is to help these individuals start opening up sooner, like in their 20s, and start realizing, I better deal with this now before I end up in the hospital. So the book doesn't share any graphic details. That's not what it's about. It only shares my path of hope and healing and closure, and to let people know that it's actually not impossible. I know a lot of people think it's impossible, so that's why they don't open it up. They think there's no, I'm damaged for life. Who do I talk to? There's so much shame, and, I know recently we had a very, very, very famous lady take her own life. And the reason she did, when I was reading, she was abused as a child and never was able to find healing and closure. And she dealt with it. She dealt with it till the end.
Pamela, first and foremost, wow. I mean, listen, I can apologize for your experience and what you had to go through, but at the end of the day, what good is an apology? I'm going to say it anyway, even though I know it's not going to give the assistance that's needed. No person should ever.
Yes, it does. Yes, it does, Benji. That is, when you validate somebody like you just did, it means the world to them. So don't say that.
Well, thank you very much. That's a learning lesson for me, Pamela, and I'm going to take that opportunity and I'm going to apologize for what you had to experience, because no individual, child, adult, male, female, it doesn't matter. No individual should ever have to experience that type of abuse, and I'm so sorry that you had to go through that.
Thank you.
Follow-up question, and probably one of the most important questions that I could ask in today's interview, and you started to go into it as to why you felt compelled to write this book. And one of the messages you want to get across is that you waited until you got into your later years to then address these things. And you're wanting to make sure that young readers, when they pick up the book, they don't follow those same steps. They address it. They acknowledge these things much earlier on. I can assume why that is important, but you know what happens when you assume, Pamela, so I'm not going to do that to you. I have you here on the line. I'm going to come right out and ask, articulate to our listening audience, why is that important to not hold off on those things, but to address them early on?
Because a human can only take so much. And, you can't escape it, but you can't escape it forever. Right. You can temporarily escape it. Of course, you're going to have to do drugs to do that. And you're going to have to, you're probably going to end up in trouble trying to escape it. The main thing that I want to tell somebody is, please get help as soon as you can. Find a therapist. And when you try to find a therapist, find a trauma-informed therapist. There are many therapists out there that cannot help you. You need a trauma-informed therapist. And when you look on the website, make sure it says trauma and PTSD.
That's great advice. Great advice. Guys, again, here on the line with Pamela Elaine Lockridge. We're discussing her wonderful book, Abused from 4 to 18, a survivor's fast track to mental wholeness, available for purchase through Amazon, barnesandnoble.com. But guys, also check out her bio link. We're going to post it here in the video. She has all of her contact information for that through Linktree. So definitely go and check that out to get everything that she has in store. You surely will not be disappointed. Pamela, next question that I'd love to get into, because I know that this book, as you had mentioned before, a therapeutic autobiography. So we have the autobiographical part of the interview. We started already to go into some of the therapy that you've incorporated into the book. I want to touch up on that a little bit more. So for our listening audience, when they go and they purchase the book, and as they're embarking upon this journey with you, that therapy that you engulf, the therapy that you added into the book, is that a step-by-step guide? Talk to us a little bit more about how that therapy is configured.
Well, a year later, I came up with an actual workbook, a companion workbook that takes you through the steps with the book, okay? And my goal is to get this in the hands of private practice and agencies if I can, but mostly private practice. They're clinicians and therapists that work with this population, because the workbook, it just makes sense, and it's a structure, like I said, that goes along with the book.
Now, in addition to your personal experience, Pamela, what type of research did you conduct in preparation for the book?
Not much, just life experience, to be honest with you. Of course, all the
Sometimes
research
that's all you
came
need, right?
when I was getting my master's in social work. You know how much research I had to do getting my master's in social work? And that's, when I was in that educational background, and because I had that educational prowess, that's what gave me the inspiration to do it. But I wanted to bring up what the book answers. There's 4 significant questions that the book answers.
Absolutely.
Number 1, how did I heal and find complete closure after such egregious childhood trauma? Number 2, who in my family knew and when? Number 3, what happened in the end to my abuser? And 4, what part did God play in all of this? Because you cannot leave God out of it. He had a hand in all of it.
Absolutely. Yeah.
Absolutely. And I wanted to, it's in the book about my predator, my abuser, and y'all are going to really be interested to find out what happened there. And it's in the book.
Pamela, I'm at the edge of my seat already. Okay, I'm here talking to you, and I'm at the edge of my seat already. I know my listening audience just can't wait to sink their teeth into it and to get involved. And listen, as we start to close out of this fantastic interview, Pamela, switching gears here, what's next for you? What's on the horizon? Is there another book that's in the works that you're looking to put out in the very near future?
No, sir. I talked about my continued journey, right? Mm-hmm. Okay, so I have 2 calls of action. I want to use the fund from the Amazon books. Of course, I said already to buy books to give to therapists. And then the number 2 is my ministry. Me and my husband have a ministry called Jesus Lifted Ministries. We want to help evangelists in America evangelize America because they have become obsolete, okay? The pastors don't trust them. They don't know one another, and we need to evangelize America. America has fallen through the cracks where evangelism is concerned. So the funds will also go to our ministry. We want to build a evangelism conference center. We're calling for 2 active full-time evangelists from each state to come and form an association who will use this facility. And that is my ultimate call. And so, additionally, I want to thank everyone for their help for reaching hurting adult survivors of child abuse. Absolutely. And, as well as reaching the lost with the spreading of the good news of Jesus Christ throughout America. And I would just ask everybody to ask yourself if this is needed today. If you don't feel it's needed, then don't visit our website, Jesus Lifted Ministries website. There's so many preaching gospel that's not true, and there's so many preaching down a watered down message. The evangelists that come into our ministry, they're going to be vetted, and we're going to make sure they're preaching the truth. And I don't know about you, but I'm looking forward to meeting the people in heaven that I had any kind of helping come to know Christ and enter into the gates of heaven, which happens through obeying the voice of the Lord when he calls us to action on his behalf. So that's basically my life in a nutshell. And I just want to thank the Lord for the healing. And, if it wasn't for the Lord, I would be locked up somewhere. I would be, have the freedom and my mind healed to be able to have the joy and quality of life that I do.
Pamela, you stated that is your life in a nutshell. Well, listen, that is a pretty big nutshell. Okay, that's very big. That's very big. No, honestly, joking aside, I love what you're doing here. Okay, I truly do. I mean, what you are starting, this movement here is incredible and is so profound. You are a person, an absolute embodiment of a person of distinction, and we are all the more blessed to have had you on our network. Guys, I'm going to say it once again, even though I know I don't have to. We're here on the line with Pamela Elaine Lockridge. We just finished discussing her amazing book, Abused from 4 to 18, a survivor's fast track to mental wholeness, available for purchase through Amazon as well as barnesandnoble.com. But make sure, if you want to gather everything that she has in store, you check out the link that we're providing for you. It's going to be a link to her link tree so you can gather all of her bio information. You surely will not be disappointed. Guys, I promise you, you don't have to search far. The majority of us probably already know someone that has been abused. As unfortunate as it is, neglecting to acknowledge it is not the way to go. We need to actually bring awareness to this topic. We need to actually acknowledge that these things are happening, because hopefully when we shine a light on it, we'll start to eradicate some of it from happening in the future. It's a hopeful thought. I know I'm oversimplifying, but it's the way I would like to be. Head on over to Amazon, Barnes & Noble, pick up your copies today. You surely will not be disappointed. Pamela, this has been an absolute honor. I truly mean that. Thank you once again for being a guest with us today on People of Distinction.
Thank you, Benji.
Come and be a guest with us on People of Distinction.